My name is Natasha Kukowski, and I am, welcoming everyone to the application training webinar today. Hope everyone had their coffee and sitting comfortably because our training is going to last about an hour and a half. So let's get started. The Small Cities grant application of a two-step process. The first is the preliminary proposal, and the second is the application. So preliminary proposal is required before application submission. So the preliminary proposal is a summary of the impact and the cost effectiveness. View the preliminary proposal. It may be deemed competitive, non-competitive, marginally competitive, even not eligible. So if you are deemed competitive or marginally competitive, we would invite you back in to apply for the full application, to complete the full application. Both applications are going to be under the Apply tab on Small Cities Development Program website. For right now, it is not on site, but it's going to be up soon. What we'll do is we'll send you an email blast stating that we're going to have it live on our website. So as far as our presentation today, we are using our PowerPoint, and that will be on our site. We get audio and our accessibility straightened out. If we can and we want to get it out sooner, we'll probably send out a PDF version out. So you guys covered on that. You know, we have changed our preliminary proposal. We do every year based on your feedback. So there's some changes in the preliminary proposal, and please read the instructions. The first 6 pages discuss the Small Cities program. This is a must-read documents. You need to read that to ensure that Small Cities is a fit for your plans. We don't want you to work on something and then finally decide that, find out that it's not a fit. So please don't skip this section. Earlier on Small Cities, with education, you need to bring forward your program income. It needs to be used first. Sure, when you are going to write a preliminary proposal, if you do not know what your program income is, please contact your rep. Another important point is for profit administrators, if you're going to have the administrator, please, this includes engineering and architect firms. Please make sure you procure them via common rule. You have to do that. Another important point, administrative funding policy. Cap it at 15% project cost. It's different for public facilities. It's 10% or 2,000, whichever is less. As administrative budget, when you have been awarded the grant, you can request up to 5% of admin for expenses. For example, mental review, policy formation, etc. This 5% administration disbursement budget not exceed 15% of actual project costs. So it has balance out, allow a 5% upfront. On the screen here is an example of how to determine if a grant adjustment would be likely to be approved. So in scenario 1, the administrator completes 5 commercial projects, spent $5,000 of the original budget, and used up all $12,250 that was budgeted. They had used it up. Remaining funds, the administrator would love to complete 2 additional rehabs, requesting to do a grant adjustment to shift 30 from rehab to admin. So that, but before you send your grant adjustment, it would be good for you to run some numbers. Let's say, for example, in this scenario, if you run a budget, the end would come up to 11%. The proposed budget would increase the units to 7 units. Your is at 15%. So within the limits. So this would be something that you can send into your rep for approval. It all depends. Doesn't mean that if under that 15% or you're at 15%, it's an automatic approval. So don't start any projects because there's other things that we look at. For example, when the due date, when is the deadline? You'll be sending a grant adjustment notice for the grant ends. So we look at things as well, but this is an important key. 2. Administrator completed 5 commercial projects, spending $75,000. Used up all admin, and like to shift to like 2 more rehabs and shift $4,000 from rehab to admin. So in the calculation, again, if you look at the table, your budget now has increased and your is now at 20%. So this would be an automatically being not allowed. So this is something that you can work on. You should do this calculation. If not sure, please call your rep. Smooth is gold. The goal is to develop viable, eligible communities, providing financial assistance to address the need for decent, safe, affordable housing, economic and public facility needs, and also to provide a suitable living environment, expanding economic opportunities, principally benefiting low and moderate income households. And that you can see in your plenary proposal in the first 6 pages. Some of these program objectives. With any federal grant, you have to meet federal objectives. There are 4 objectives out there. The first one, LMI, benefit to low, moderate income households on an individual basis. LMI, benefit to low, moderate income people on area basis. Right? On area basis, urgent community development need in your situation. 70% of HUD allocated funds, all projects combined, must meet an LMI or LMA federal objectives. Please review your Small Cities A to C guide for additional information. Small cities eligible applicants. This is really important. City population under 50,000. Townships population of fewer than 200,000. Please look at this last point here. If you're and you should not be in an entitlement area. Entitlements would include cities of Bloomington, Coon Rapids, Duluth, Iditarod, Mankato, Minneapolis, Minnetonka, Fargo, Plymouth, Rochester, Cloud, St. Paul, Woodbury, and counties of Hennepin, Dakota, Ramsey, Washington, and St. Louis. So I'm going to pass this over to Pat.
Looking, everybody, just gotta change it real quick.
Okay, what's for this year is that we want involved have a role in implementing any potential grants. We want them to sign so we know that they understand what is being proposed and what their role will be. This is in any usually in the past we've had we have multiple administrators where we had the application and another who has an administrative role and they didn't read the app or they were told what was in the app. So we're going to try and clean that up this year with having all those, including the city, that everyone importantly understand what's going to happen. For Warson, we talked about this in our implementation training, those who were there, but commuter recipients. A subrecipient means administrator receiving administrative funds. And there's a $750,000 threshold on this, similar to an audit. So with this somewhat, but they're getting together to receive awarded projects to get together with their auditor to make what they will need to do to monitor subrecipients. And we will be providing more information on that. It becomes us as well because this is new for us as well. On sound and reasonable means taken to establish rehab interest. We've run examples, and we want you want these projects to succeed, and the projects and the success is dependent on the interest of those who participate. So, to more than someone raising their hand at a meeting that they're interested in the program. We're aware that surveys are distributed, that you often distribute surveys to determine the interest. But surveys are to know. We need to know more than their interest, levels. That they understand what small cities funds can be used for. If it's commercial, they don't understand Davis-Bacon and historical. And it's just, again, raising their hand at a business or a chamber meeting, raising their hand because they're in this program. No audits or mod findings. And now, not only the applicant committee for all findings, but if an administrator has unresolved monitoring findings, ability for us to move forward with any preliminary proposal or application. Again, related to capacity capacity, and we'll be getting into that more later. Plan to be completed in approximately 36 months. It used to be 30, so Provala to give you more money to get, more time to get the projects done. We need a resolution, local resolution, and a citizen participation plan and public hearing. We'll be talking about that more later. We need invite views that include historic, Davis applied to commercial rehabilitation, rental units and public facilities, fair housing and equal opportunity, not just paying attention, but promoting these as well. Annual report, monitoring, that's at least once per grant, as well as desk monitoring and questions that we have as the project is being implemented. And that's favorites. Here's outlaw eligible uses of funds. Should be explanatory here. Eligible as your slide here, and that shouldn't be a surprise to any of the veterans. As you know, we've been community center, streetscape, and a sticks. More as projects that we would entertain, and we'll be more with future slides. Single purpose types of applications. Single purpose. Remember the key is of $600,000. And this admin. If it's a housing activity, that could be of housing occupied and rental. You can no longer stand alone commercial for those who remember that from a few years ago. Comprehensive of 1.4 million, but it's a cap per each activity. Your definition of a single purpose application earlier, the public facility situation. Here's a comprehensive application, 2 or more interrelated projects. But how to be involved with comps. Our pilots, like minimum maximums here, we're going to be going through these for our most common activities. Maximum 25,000, and loans a minimum of 7 years for the deferred as our security for our project. We need to, applicants will need to demonstrate need and impact. It needs to be, and it has to be feasible. These are recent changes that we're kind of going to review quick. 13 small series deferred loans. Reverse mortgages must be paid off before any refinancing can take place. And HQS training published for anyone who with inspecting on January 1st, 2016. And talk to your rep if you have more questions about that. The important here is, and we'll be about see more later, but we want to make sure that anyone doing the inspection role meets the bill. A few more here. Fact for deed and life estates are optional for occupied, and no sending forgiveness allowed estates. Yes, you'll have to be a real veteran to remember this, but for a year or two, some money was being allowed to be used for MRL or MRL-type housing, and that's been the case for a long time now, but we're just reminding people about that. And duplicate can only be done under rental, owner occupied. Case both have LMI, so the owner of the property has to be LMI as well as the tenant. And notable loans for after the situations. Target areas for rehab activities, most commonly owner-occupied. There's situations and there's target area situations where we're targeting the program in certain areas. So if there's of 1,000 or more, and this is multi-city proposals where there's more than one community within an application. If the population or the community's population is 1,000 or more, target areas must be used. And please, or contingency, if you will, if there's not interest in the Plan A target area, the primary target area, are then encouraged. So contingency to meet goals. We have issues, the preliminary proposal in the application from last year. The was some of Plan A and Plan B, and part of it had been my fault when I worked on change those documents to not be clear about how we want to sum or a combination of the Plan A and Plan B data. So if there is any about that, make sure you talk to one of us about exactly how we want that information presented. We make a breakdown, so make sure that your information broke down your end if need be. And is a secondary target area. It's not the primary target area. And we're going to want you to outline like when to start entertaining a plea or the area. At 12 months into the 15 months, what marketing efforts are going to be exhausted with primary area before you move to Plan B area. So hear that and discuss that community you're working with. That the community understands that a plan is possible. We've had a couple instances, cities thinking their primary is fine, they didn't need a Plan B, and you can get what has happened since. This slide is the different rental rehabilitation. There's 2 slides to describe them all. With multifamily rehabilitation, one complex without MHFA, usually MHFA as far as pot tax credits. All that happens here is one complex is the only part of the rental component. Any contingency for any more or any interest that is going to be presented other than this one property. So in those cases, we want to make sure that project is going to happen. And that is awarded. Mixed type of rent, a single unit, single family, if there's two units above a space, the duplex, we'll call it a duplex, then three, of course, would be multifamily. The requirements, duplex, self-mandatory, multi, we're different here, this year. Generally it's 12,500 per unit is our maximum. That's to be exceeded. The key here in the discussion with small cities rep, and we'll be providing who is small cities rep at the end of the presentation. I want some interaction with them on whether or not ideas for exceeding that when we're going to fly. But there's going to be emphasis on this year's accessibility, and them out of our fair feedback that we received from entities across Minnesota as something they want us to look for or be into more. So just seeing that more as well. But the 1,200 per unit can be exceeded, and then one could be is to provide change, be getting into what those changes could be or are defined as later. Okay, 5 years, 9,000, again, nothing different there. Got 7 has for a number of small cities money and in project. We talked about earlier, we have more emphasis on accessibility. We're promoting opportunities to partner Minnesota Housing's publicly owned house program, or POP. In the past, we encouraged small being used for publicly owned housing, but we changed our attitude on that because HUD is emphasizing rehousing, and also some of the opportunities for us to partner with MHFA have kind of gone by the wayside. And some of the problems that we encountered in the past were that proposed for maintenance type work. So partnering opportunities will definitely have to have a rehab focus. Property and agree to the rules of the program. We kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. MH is usually in larger projects, kind of coming in as gap. With the status of RRDL, but we think there'll be still some RRDL opportunities out there for any who can pull that off. and remember doing the budget to separate out the type rent budget, whether they're single family, duplexes, or multifamily. Don't come them all into one budget. Here for rental, that's where a lot of the changes have been. All with the process this year. Standard accessibility will mirror what MHFA has. My understanding that if there's doing rehab, remember, the MHFA standard is there is the bill constructed after March of 1991. We'll have to go some kind of analysis, accessibility analysis. So a guinea pig out there who fits that bill, but there'll be questions to kind of better out. And again, beyond the small cities maximum, to you, and these are to accomplish such as grab bars in units, lower cabinets, doorways wider if it's reasonable cost, or involve ramps or curb cuts, like with a Cox's curb system. And again, just the items that we would often the entry itself to a building can movement and widening, and sometimes that's often so again, that's just a reason to kind of small your and talk about these things before you get too far into a project. Here from last changes, we don't allow contracts for deed and rental and for all the rental that we've talked about, single family, duplex. Presenters here, we're moving on to Andrew.
Okay, we're going to talk about the commercial rehab policy requirements. For commercial, small cities, maximum funds, you're looking at $40,000 per unit for maximum. Small cities, maximum of 80% of project costs. And terms, deferred loans at least, minimum, very minimum of 5 years, can go above that though, obviously. Buildings must be occupied by some sort of commercial retail, and it has to be independently owned business. So we're looking to, different manufacturing, industrial, medical centers, hospitals, and like commercial funds used for a community center. You'd want to go for a public activity that. So know ahead of time when you're going to be applying for the commercial dollars what businesses you're going to have in mind. So the dollars have to be used on rehab activities. Example of we get questions sometimes is like the conversion of roofs, making a flat roof into a pit roof. That would be considered construction, not rehab in our. Then any work not part of the project cannot be conducted in conjunction with the small cities project. So a building owner has a bunch of different things they want to do, maybe we get through the small cities portion of that. Maybe make that phase 1, and then phase 2 can be all these other items the owner, the building owner might want to do. Looking at one small project per legal description for the how we differentiate the properties. And private match dollars can be used for small cities' non-eligible uses. For example, if the person wanted to be putting in new flooring or different fixed equipment, that can be part of the match. Contracts are optional. If used, city repayment agreement must be signed by all parties. And this is a contract for deed, not necessarily deed us, if that makes any sense. You don't want the actual application itself. You're going to want to demonstrate how the funds will improve community vitality. You have a slum and blight designation, description, slum and blight designation, and map with the application. So we want to see where this outlined area that you're calling the slum and blight. We want to know what it is. You're familiar with the community. We're not familiar sometimes, so we want to know where it's going on. You can combine rental and commercial for deeper impact and sometimes higher scoring. This would be a mixed use project. The property owners need to kind of know what they're getting themselves into. They have an understanding of Davis-Bacon wage rates and wage assistance, and understand that there might be some different historical requirements depending on their building, if SHO sees it as historical or not. Also, you could get leverage really anywhere in any different way. It'd be from the property owners themselves, from banks, from a local city fund or an EDA fund. There's a lot to kind of add in some other extra dollars. Social slum area, you need to have one slum area. You can't have a Plan B contingency or any of that. And remember what types of businesses in that area that are eligible, that can actually be considered for the commercial dollars. Typical blight areas are typically in the downtown, but that's not necessarily exclusively in downtowns. It could be commercial, point of the community, something like that. But again, it can only be an area. Interests. So we understand that in some of the communities, they are smaller, and the mayor might also be a business owner in town, right? Like that overlap happens, we understand. The is to address if there will be any conflicts ahead of time, before getting the funding, before getting the dollars, addressing and bringing to light that there may be a potential conflict. So measures to determine if any elected officials are interested in participating in proposed rehab activities, that is as a contractor or actually applying for dollars for their own business or home. Ensure that those who might be interested abstain from voting on advancing the prelim proposal. So if the city is going to move forward with an application, a grant application, and one of the board members just has a thought that they might do it, may vote on it. Then that is a clear conflict, that they vote for it and then are trying to receive grant dollars down the road. Missing this step will compromise those conflicted from participating in the program. So that is the case. And again, if you do have any questions about that, please contact your rep. We've been happy to walk you through that process.
Okay, for these, Whirlpool sewer and water projects, we're looking at the state's project list maintained by the for pollution or for sewer wastewater activities in the Department of Health for drinking water situations. Needs described in the application, and monthly one immediate income of $35 per month. At 1.5% is per system for sewer, water, or sewer. So the thresholds that need to be met for sewer and water. Small cities must make a significant reduction in average user rates. Example, when projected based on cost costs are projected into will need to be changed and collect enough money to finance and operate the let's say the 50s without small money, but with small cities money they 49. Well, that's just impact with small cities funds. And as cost effectiveness are pouring, which we'll be talking about more later. The public facilities is our partners. Experts on sewer projects, we are. So we rely on their expertise, not only on which physical standpoint, but from a financial standpoint as well. We all rely on them to help us in what is the best and most effective cities need. So if a city's engineer believes a new system or a new component of a system is versus rehab of a system or a component, but owners feel that rehab is the most cost-effective and reason at the time, we going by what partners say, not what an applicant say. Small cities might not be back to property owners. If anyone let us know. Assessments are possible as a fund mechanism, but can't be recaptured, or small cannot be recaptured by a community through assessments. There's a 50% or better of system will need to be low and moderate income, and that's determined either by census or pay. And the census data for all the communities in Minnesota, the apply section of our web. We have to document facilities primarily for residential use, and this will be a question on both the preliminary proposal and the application. Sewer lines cannot run with small cities money in any type of project, but sewer lines could be done with small cities owner-occupied rehab funds. situations out there where not even apply for our funds for a Mainland water project, but they may want our funds to both housing, rehab it, and get the needier homes kind of the system without that not afford a service connection. Here's some common but eligible activities. Biggie here. These time with your rep because we don't do it a lot, and we're going to want to ensure that projects would have a good chance for success. Around a few years, you do remember that we're analyzing streetscape and public aesthetics as possibilities for our money. So this needs to be, or it will be part of a larger community planning effort. So the community is under more than just a streetscape, or they're more than just a public aesthetic, and not really doing anything else as far as planning or implementation of education efforts. These actions, we want a breakdown of streetscape and public aesthetics in the apply activities, but in the budget as well. And we want pretty specific, uses or, how the small cities' money will be used, and those elements are going to cost. Not just one big price tag, but how do we price tag, so to speak. And just to repeat, the best advice for aesthetics, plus the previous two slides, is to talk to your small cities rep before you get too far into these projects, so we can make sure it's going to fly. Fundability. For the 2019 allocation, we expect approximately $2 million less than the one previously, or the one we're receiving currently of $18 million. Million of unawarded 2018 funds for the next round. All the funds need to be distributed. 50% of the annual allocation is really set aside for economic activities that do that's done through the Small Cities program. Years have been getting money back because the state rules do allow it to come back to the program to be used, not used by our folk who manage those in the economic development side of the office. The preliminary is the first stage of our two-stage application process. The proposal is really a screening mechanism to determine eligibility of a project and whether it would compete for funds. It's required to be submitted before any application. Them for and whether they're competitive, money competitive, not competitive, or eligible, and working fairly well. Also, community get too far along in the process before they are not going to compete for funds and go through all the work necessary in completing the whole process. So they're not going to receive award money. Okay, this slide describes some more elements of the preliminary proposal. Talked about how, everyone is going to need to sign. And on the fourth bullet regarding MHFA, a few weeks back, of all the MHFA tax credits. We used to where we did an application or a preliminary proposal in those situations, but those didn't pass. All that will need to complete a proposal. Some common positions of proposals and applications are non-administration and that $600,000 maximum. Small cities maximums, and on Pine we talked about those earlier, such as $20,000 per house, on deferred loans. Request exceeding $1,000. Again, not a comprehensive. It's just owner and rental involved with an application. $1,000,000, and again, that's with addition. We have a because remember we're going to need into more the slides on how we score soon. We're overeating leverage, especially with rehab applications here. Just because $1,000 of weatherization money or types of MHFA money are available in your area does not necessarily mean that all that money is accessed. Establish, what is reasonable expectation on you, because they often depend on incomes, moderate incomes, elements. Not seen before the submit happens, or we get assigned submissions. Leaves blank and missing information, and here are some examples of that. And just question is tough doesn't mean it's blank. Okay, here a budget we'd like a C after it, and the ought to be able to demonstrate how committed if we ask. So we have a notification process here earlier of those competitive or marginally competitive have been awarded. They've met the first stage in our screening process, and then those to on, and we would expect them to submit application. Entertain willingly changes to improve from proposal, and your staff source to consult on what changes could or might be. Application is for those deemed competitive or marginally competitive. Motion is dated from a preliminary proposal on what changed. And the action dives more into a thorough explanation of, or more of a thorough outline of need, impact, and cost effectiveness. Needed to be some application or outline here. Cooperative agree pertain to multi-community applications. Again, those where we're combining one applicant and primary community identified. Interest list. Some residents are going to need maps. So, and that's all outlined and explained in the application. Citizen plan and public citizen participation plan, the public hearing is held. For each application that becomes a live project, at least two public hearings are involved. One during implementation, but the first would be during the application process. So again, your plan should be before the public hearing is held, not at the same time, or else you're for the public with any expectation on what your plan is. You're just adopting something. We're going to look for a motion in hearing to reach low and minority populated areas, and we're going to make stressing, the need for accommodations for a population who need them, so they understand that they will be able to participate in the meeting. All communities involved in a community situation will need to hold as part of the process. So we're at this part of the is kind of be short from last year. Again, your note just we're talking about on these slides, and make sure the minutes also what was just don't, because all that should just say, well, public hearing was held to discuss the project. We need something a lot more specific than that to end it. The areas we wanted addressed were addressed. Again, here are elements that we will want to have covered out of what HUD is looking for, our last forms that we received from them. Okay, here's some things to remember about projects. If for what funds, and again, and why we're talking about is be careful what you wish for. To understand that they need to have a free workplace. Their police department on adopting a position of excessive force. Remember, all program income values must be used before released. They need to understand that.
Okay, we're going to talk about scoring this is a very important component. So when you're writing your grant, you want to take this into consideration. So rules read that scoring will be segregated by following activity types: single purpose, public facility, single purpose, housing with another activity, comprehensive. Scoring is key to a successful grant. So there is 240 points broken down in 4 categories: 90 points for need, 90 points for community impact, 30 points for cost effectiveness, 30 points for traffic. With housing scoring, for need, which is the first category, there's a maximum of 90 points. A narrative should elaborate on house units that are occupied by low and moderate income people, if they're substandard units, or poses a threat to the health and safety of the occupants. If there is an inadequate supply of affordable housing for low and moderate income persons. Also, any other documented conditions that give evidence the need for improvements or additions to the housing stock to serve this low moderate income persons. I want to concentrate on that because there's 90 points. So that's a big chunk. Category would be community impact, 90 points. So elaborate on the extent to which the proposed activities will eliminate deficiencies. You're focusing on how you're going to eliminate them. How many LMI homes have deficiencies? How close are the homes to each other? How these households are interested in being rehabbed, and your community special. So there's a lot of research you want to do to get this information. You want to talk about the extent to which the proposed activity will reduce or eliminate the need. That is. 9. A smaller target area with a higher density will score higher. Earlier, citywide applications, entire. Remember, again, communities with population of 1,000 and under, or multi-community population collectively of 1,000 and under, may submit a citywide application. So we look at citywide applications and we score target areas. So we compare them that way. Also part of community impact. There's that we look at. We look at the community and the administrators' experience with small cities and programs. We look at the administrator's current and proposed workload. Does the administrator have any unresolved findings or issues from previous grants? So those are things that you need to keep in mind. So even though you finished a grant, you need to finish it well. Here's an example of an area. So we're looking at a target area of 5 square miles. The population is 1,100. Forget this, they would not qualify for a citywide target because they have to be under 1,000. Their total homes suitable in need of repair. The interest statements. There's too many homes in there with not enough interest. That doesn't give you a good impact. Community administrator is late on reporting, and there is a comment. So that's else we look at because it's to gauge and to know if that administrator can successfully complete or administer a grant. The second example is a target area that is citywide. Now, the population is 600. So in this, they can go citywide. 150. How and in need of repair. 50 interest statements. That's great because half of the eligible homeowners are interested. It is reported on time. Well, so this is a good area. This is a good example. And consider is it'd be beneficial to include in your narrative activities that will increase your community impact. Those could be other programs, other buildings and non-LMI homes. You have a downtown revitalization program going on. If you have an emergency loan program going on, you include them. For purchase of rehab programs, those are some stuff that you can put in. Parks, landscaping, streetscaping programs. Time this community improvements need with small cities grants. So if they coincide, it will be a big part in your impact scoring. Cost is the last category with an excess of 30 points. So you want to elaborate to the of this proposed activities will make cost-effective use of grant funds. You could include coordination and use of funds from other public and private sources to leverage. The cost of the proposed activities per households is reasonable. This could include administration costs, in services. You can read and meet and discuss with other agencies if there's other funding sources, organization, if something that you can add to your grant. This could increase your cost effectiveness. Outlets for working together is more effective than a letter of cooperation. It doesn't mean that we don't want a letter of cooperation. We want that too. So you elaborate on that. Other agencies, RD, Greater Housing Fund, housing. Those different agencies that you can coordinate with, so it would increase your effectiveness. The public facilities scoring. So on the activities, how it is necessary to improve of your public facilities to low and moderate income persons and net threat of public health and safety. It's pretty much simple there. It explains everything. The extent to which the proposal will reduce the need. Critical is it? Increase capacity in Bacon rates. That. So you want to make sure your administrator knows about Davis-Bacon. They knows how to implement that. And we have the webinar for Davis-Bacon training on our website. So that's something that you probably want to take at, even for a veteran. Cost. Leverage of the proposed activity that would make it cost effective. Kinds of leverage. Keep in mind that small cities should be viewed as a gap financing. All financing sources should be in place. Example, PFA, those things need to be in place. So that would score higher. comprehensive scoring. So we're jumping to another one right now. And that's 90 points as well. Combination of a housing activity or a public facility or a commercial. So what we're at is you need to show the number of low and moderate income persons in the program area. The residents in the program area, which is low and moderate income, and you can get this from the census data that is on our website. If you meet the 51%, then you have to do a survey. We need to propose comprehensive program to improve improvements or additions to the housing stock to serve moderate income persons. The need to improve public facilities. So this is all geared towards low moderate income. This is 90 points. To the extent that this proposed program will eliminate and reduce the need identified. How the long-term physical and economic condition of the program area and its residents. Be creative and explore how these multiple activities work together to improve the community. So be impact factors. How slum and light building improvements improve overall community. Focus on rehab key community buildings. Focus on rehabbing historical significant buildings. Include streetscape. If you're on a commercial activity, light is a key component. Do some research. You could use slum and blight as well. So if they happen together, that is a perfect combination. Again, it's the same as housing coordination. That's the key. Effective use of grant funds. If you can get other sources, leverage, public or private, that is great. So you get to housing scoring effectiveness for some data. This is the final scoring. It's 30 points. The score is basically out of your hands. And it's usually used as a when we're comparing applications. We get is from the Minnesota State Development Office. Number of poverty persons in the area, percentage of residents, per capita valuation of the area. So this is something that you cannot change. So this is where that we get that from the demographer's office. I'm going to pass over to Andrew.
Okay, we're strong applications. Consistent information between budgets and narrative. You want to make sure that everything is lining up accordingly. Budgets add up correctly for the and everything for the dollars. And make sure you have excellent supporting documentation. We want to see where we're coming up with this conclusion and the information. Habitable goals, timelines, well-documented interests for the rehab. So heavily on having a good contact and interest list, because those are your customers, those are the people that will actually be applying for the grant dollars. And fee goals, if you have 150 people interested and that are able to participate, you can get 149 of them. That's really high. So we want to scale that back considerably. So have committed and realistic leverage amounts as well. And follow the format provided within the application that we send out to everybody. Make sure all the questions for proposed activities, and have your documents in line. Make sure you have the application as pre-read by someone who draft the application. Make sure it's clear, concise, and that you can demonstrate strong capacity to handle the workload. So changes. Now, we're always open to any input and comments for the application, and we're trying to make changes as we go. In the past, we've heard that there's several suggested there's repetitive questions within the application. We are trying to figure out ways to combat that, but if you are going to be doing multiple activities, copy and paste is going to be your best friend for that, I would say. And, like I said, continue to offer suggestions and feedback. We want to hear how we can improve the applications and process. Frames. We are going to have the pre-app packet available here soon on the website, probably in July here. Looking for a deadline of the preliminary proposals of November 15th of 2018. And we will let everybody know on the competitive status in December. Deadline full apps are February 28th of 2019. And then May or June, we'll get some recommendations out to the Commissioner, and June we'll also be looking at a grant agreements implementation workshop. For information, we want one original and one copy. Please send to us, and again, it will be due Thursday, November 15th. And application, same thing. We want the actual hard copies that you guys are working on. So please print that, send it in the mail, and we will pay you for it. Now, we do this throughout the year, like this webinar. You can check on the webinars here. You can give us a call if ever needed. We'll check to you as soon as possible. And also do have a lot of different setup trainings throughout the year. So I have a few upcoming trainings. And the topics will be announced here shortly, but at least put this in your calendar now to get an idea, to plan for it. September 12th, we will be in Mankato, and 13th will be in Walker. And again, this is going to be topic-specific things, so if you guys have anything that you would really, really, really like to talk about, please let me know. Otherwise, we will move topics ourselves. Make sure you get a good look at the map. We're going to have some changes coming up in the near future. We did a new staff person, Michelle Vang. So she'll be taking area 1, 2, and 3. Myself, Andrew Barbas, will be taking 5, 7W, and 7E. Patton will be taking 6E, 9, 10, and 11. And Asha Kupalski will be taking 4, 6W, 8, and 8. Yeah. Make sure you check the small city contact info as well. Reach us if you have any questions. You see our phone numbers and our emails there. Other than that, much for tuning in to the webinar today. We will be going through in the chat room. We will be sending a follow-up email or message with all of the answers that are the best answers that we can get. Is there anything else that you can think of? Make sure you put it in the chat. We'll leave it open here for a little bit longer. Otherwise, if you're not to that, feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. And thank you guys very much.